Welcome to another exciting tutorial. Today we are going to create something like this using latest version of Blender and FlipFluids add-on. Jump to Blender and select the default cube and scale it up 10 times its original size by pressing S and 10. Or you can also scale them up here in the item tab, and this scale X, Y and Z is the same thing. Double click the name of the cube in the outliner and rename it to cube-domain. Go to physics properties and apply FlipFluid to the default cube and change the type to domain. If you want to save your file, it's a good practice to save your file as soon as possible. Now I need a model of 3D fan. You can use any fan, but I will go to BlenderKit, which is a free add-on, and it provides us with free models and materials and scenes. If you cannot see BlenderKit in your Blender, you can go to Edit menu and you can go to Preferences, and in Add-ons area you can find BlenderKit, and you can see I have already activated BlenderKit online asset library. So you can also activate it, and then you can see BlenderKit here, and I will search for a model fan, and it will show many different type of fans. You can use whatever you like. Some models are free and some are not free. I will use this free model from this guy. You can see his name on the screen. So I will click this model. I can see that it's been downloaded here in the outliner, fan AZZA, and I will scale it up to 180 times. So I will press S and 180, and you can see that in the scale you can see it's 180 times now. There are some parts of this fan which I don't want. So if I expand the fan model, I can see there are 5 parts. Cable shape, housing and plug I don't want, so I will select these 4 parts and I will press X to delete them. I just need this part, so it's already there. I will close the BlenderKit add-on. I will go to front view by pressing 1 on the numpad, and I will select cube-domain, and I will scale it down on the Z axis from 10 to 3. Then by using move tool, I will move it up so it can cover the area of the fan. So the fan is inside this cube-domain. I will select the fan. I will go to modifier properties and I will add solidify. I will change the offset to 0 and thickness to 0.02. Sorry, 0.002. And then I will go to physics properties and I will apply FlipFluid to the fan, and I will change the type to obstacle, and I will increase the friction to 1. As I am going to animate this fan, so I also need to click here, export animated mesh, If I move my playhead, the fan is already animated by the person who created this fan model, but I want to animate it according to my needs. So I will come here on the rotation area, and there are keyframes already set for this. That's why it's yellow in color. I want to delete all these keyframes, so I will right click anywhere on X, Y or Z, and I will select clear keyframes. So if I move my playhead on the timeline, I can see it's not animating anymore. So while the playhead is on frame 1, I will right click on the rotation and I will select insert keyframe. Then I will move the playhead to frame 240. You can see 240, or you can also select here 240. And I will change the rotation to 1500. And I will again right click and insert keyframes. So at frame 1, the value of Z rotation is 0, and at frame 240 the rotation value is 1500. So we have created fan rotation animation. Now we need to create a fluid, viscous fluid. So I will be adding a UV sphere, and I have to scale it up 3 times. So I will press S and 3. I will go to top view by pressing 7 on the num keypad, and this is my sphere. Right click, shade smooth. I will place it something here, and if I activate the wireframe viewport shading, you can see that it's here on the upper left side of the domain. I should be duplicating this 3 more times to create 3 more fluid elements. But before doing that, I will apply FlipFluid to this sphere and I will make it fluid. And that's it. Now I will duplicate this by pressing Shift D and put it on the opposite side at the same place on the right side, so something like this. Then duplicate it again by pressing Shift D and put it here, something like this. Duplicate it again by pressing Shift D and put it something like this. So you can see I have nearly placed them at the same spots on the opposite sides, and they are a little bit lower than the domain. So I will select all the 4 spheres, sphere 01, 02, 03, and I will move them up so they are inside the domain. So this is my basic setup. So the fan is going to animate and it's going to move the viscous fluid. Now set up the multicolor attribute feature for the FlipFluid, which is a new feature in this latest release. So for that setup, we need to first activate the new features of FlipFluid. So I will select cube-domain and I will go to I will go to FlipFluid simulation properties, and inside FlipFluids surface I can see that I have these new settings, color attribute and enable mixing. So I will activate these two options. If you cannot see these two options, then you just need to go to edit menu, preferences, and in the adds on section you can type FlipFluid and expand it. As this is the newest version 1.4.0 at the time of recording of this video, so you need to enable developer tools. It's not enabled by default, so you can click. When you click this, you get the newest features here. Then close this dialog box, and color attribute smoothing I will keep it to 3, and enable mixing, mix rate I will select as 5 and mix radius as 1. Then go to FlipFluid world and select and activate viscosity, and in the base value select 10,000, and in accuracy input 6, and go to the friction area and boundary friction to 1. Then select the first sphere and change the color attribute to any color which you like. I will just select yellow. Select the second sphere and change to another color. Select the third sphere and change the color attribute to something you like, and select the final and fourth sphere and change the color attribute to something green. So you can select any random colors, and then select fluid dash surface in the outliner and go to shading, and while this fluid dash surface is selected, click for new material, new. It will give us a new material. I will give it a name, fluid underscore surface material, and this material is responsible to create random colored materials. We need to add 2 more nodes here, so I will go to add menu and I will search for attribute node, attribute, and I will select the color and mix connect it with base, so color to base color. And one very important step, in the name area you need to type flip underscore color. If you don't write it like this, it's not going to work, so be careful and write it exactly like this. And I want to add one more node here. I can press Shift A, or I can go to add menu, search for hue and saturation, and I will drag it in the middle and it will automatically connect between the 2 nodes. And in the saturation I will input the value 2 or 3, it's up to you. I will just use 2. Go back to layout mode, and now I will select my cube dash domain and I will try to bake just to see if my animation is working. I will keep the resolution at 65. This type of animation and baking takes a lot of time because it will be shattering to small pieces. So just for quick baking, I will just keep the resolution at 65 and I will bake it. First is exporting the animated data because there is animation with this fan, and after finishing it, it will start baking. So I have stopped the baking around frame 21 or 22, and if I move my playhead on the timeline, I can see, yeah, it is creating perfect fluid. And if I activate the viewport shading, I can see that the fluid is viscous and it has different colors. For final render purposes, I will go to world properties, and in the color I will select something like white or something like this. So it's giving me a lot of light in the scene. I will go to ray visibility and I will deselect the camera so camera cannot see the light around it. I can still see the logo on the fan, so I will select the fan. I will go to materials and I will delete these materials, and I will add a new material. I will call it fan material, and I will change it to glossy. You can select any material, it doesn't matter. I'm just selecting a glossy material and making it color gray, and I will add a plane by pressing Shift A and mesh and selecting the plane. Otherwise you can just go to add menu here and mesh and plane and scale it up to around 200 S200. Go to front view by pressing 1 on the num keypad and move your plane to the bottom of the scene or to the bottom of the domain. And while the plane is selected, you can see plane is selected, go to the material tab and give it a new material, call it plane material, and also make it glossy and something like grayish white. Now select your cube dash domain and I will bake some more frames. So I will resume baking from frame 22. Click. My final animation was baked at 150 resolution, but it will take a lot of time because this type of animation is a complex animation. It will take more time for baking. So let me bake around frame 50 and then I will do a final render for you guys. So I have stopped the baking around frame 50 or 51, And let me check on the timeline. The animation is perfect. I can go to rendered viewport shading and I can see beautiful viscous fluid has been generated. Let me arrange the camera. I want this same view to be in the camera, so I can press a handy shortcut Ctrl-Alt-0 on the numerical keypad, and it will make my current view as a camera view. I will select the camera and I will change one of the settings here, end value, to around 1000. Select the light and turn it off because I don't need this light for my render. Then go to render properties and make sure your render engine is cycles. Also remember to activate denoise, and then go to render menu and press render image. That's it for now. Here is our beautiful render. If you don't understand anything or if you have any questions, you can post in the comments and I will definitely answer your questions, and see you in the next video.